for government. I'm gonna form a covers band and all. Back there by the baby grand, did Mr. Winter Wonderland say, come here kid, we really need to talk. Bear with me man, I lost my train of thought. I fantasize, I call it quits. I swim with the economists, and I get to the bottom of it for good.
Yo.
By the time reality
What up?
hits, the chimes of freedom fell to bits. The shining city on the fritz. They come out of the cracks, thirsty for blood. Just as the apocalypse finally gets prioritized, and you cried some of the hottest tears you ever cried, multiplied by 5, I suppose the singer must die.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Sing song round the money tree, this stunning documentary that no one else unfortunately saw. Such beautiful photography, it's worth it.
What up, Penguin? Goggles. What up? Shane, how you doing, my guy?
Or maybe I just imagined it all. I've played to quiet rooms like this before.
Let me set this up real quick because it's definitely not aligned. Oh, that is terrible. I don't know why it does that. It's just like all of a sudden it just pop in here and it's completely messed up. There we go. All right, we'll leave it like that for now. What's up, guys? Hey, Rose, how you doing? Francis, what's up? Can we expect some green? Well, we are tracking inverse right now, unfortunately. This wasn't really expected, to be honest with you. I didn't expect us to be tracking inverse again, but as you can see, I mean, we're tracking. I mean, again, just one way or another, this just validates the cycle even more. Even if it tracks inverse, it still validates what's happening in the market. So it's a good sign, right? Every time we see these like very like clear to the eye movements up or down is a good sign, right? Like this is still a good sign to me. It's just the way it was tracking, right? It was tracking identical and now we're tracking inverse. So We'll talk about it, though. We'll talk about it.
Daisy, don't be cruel. All of this depends on you. Your friends are laughing and you take your time. Lately,
Yeah, that's so,
never mind what
okay, so
people say.
this is the deal, guys.
It's getting late.
Remember, things could go on and off. This could have been, again, an algorithm shift with either the identical or inverse. They both played out. If you see it here, it's up and down. But right now, currently, we are tracking the inverse pattern. So, again, I'm gonna see what happens on Friday. This is Friday right here, tomorrow. And there's a lot of movement, guys, to the either downside or upside. And again, it's really hard to tell. A lot of the times you do get both playing out. So, you know, I've had that happen with the blue pattern multiple times where you get a little bit of both. So it's possible that we play inverse today and then identical tomorrow. It all depends, but this right here is very much to do with it. Oh man, how you doing? Apple has the power devil inside. Jesus. Father, how you doing, man? Shout out to my guy, Father. Good guy. Good to see you, man. Yeah, it could be, man. It could be the ultimate spring, right? We'll see, I guess. But this right here is indicating something crazy is going to happen for sure. Right now we are tracking inverse. So as you can see, this is the start of the cycle here, the 2-month cycle that we've been tracking, and today we are tracking inverse. So it's really hard to tell, man. The past couple of cycles we have tracked. So I'm gonna pull up this one here because I think this one's pretty interesting to note. And we'll go ahead and crack this guy down real quick. We're gonna do it all the way over here to where we fell off on June 3rd. Okay, so something interesting about the previous cycle is that it does match up to a lot of these movements as well. So as you can see right here, yesterday, right? We had, I'm gonna have to make this a different color so you guys can see. Remember, cycles, guys, as long as you're lining them up to the like this is, right now we are tracking what is the June version. So the May 13th pattern right here is the June cycle, right? Which the June cycle is the very beginning. It's what's this entire cycle here that we repeat every 2 months. So you can take any one of these and lay them over to find similar patterns because they're all tracking them in some form of way. And it's a good way to double check yourself on a lot of these plays to the upside or the downside. So right now, yesterday, for example, you can see like this entire pattern is almost playing out inverse. So, and this is why I was saying like I'm pretty bullish that, you know, that all these played out identical at first and then played out inverse. So if we flip this guy, mirror, you can see like these patterns, right? Right here. So this is where it had the upside, right? And then downside, and then upside again, and this is where it started to come down. And again, man, we're kind of doing our own thing at this point. Like this specific pattern is just not behaving like the other ones, which is weird to me. It's super weird because you don't see this happen very often, especially with this much yellow in the cycle, right? So let's see what happens the next couple of days. But again, guys, like, we're still tracking. We're not going to stop tracking. And it's better to be safe with your overall, like, decisions that you're making. If you are using this tool, man, make sure you're like playing it safe, right? The cool thing about this, guys, is that most of the time it is going to be a 50-50. And I can tell you, man, like, there rarely are indicators out there that are even like a 50-50 chance. Like, this is a good thing, man, that you're able to either track it inverse or identical, and it plays out that way, right? Like, look at that, bro. It's playing inverse. Nah, Ape. Hey, how you doing? Keep up the good work. I'm getting a terrible signal right now. Oh, like, for me, you're getting a terrible signal, or like, just, are you saying like the market, like, just in general? I've had a couple people tell me in the past that, like, the stream has been lagging a little bit, but I think I fixed that problem. It's a little bit weird though, because, like, you can see we track inverse at first, and then right here we're almost tracking identical again. So it's like, I'm just gonna edit this real quick, because it's a weird ass thing, bro. This entire thing is, this entire thing is inverse, and then the portion right here is identical. I'm telling you, bro, this is a really weird cycle right now. It's playing out.
I saw her sitting in the rain, raindrops falling on her. She didn't seem to care. She sat there and smiled at me. Then I knew she could make me happy.
Stupid. What's up? Yo. This guy's traveling to Barcelona. Dude, that is where my ancestors are from. Every one of them. Like 80%. That's awesome, bro. Jason, do hedgies have to cover synthetics on lit market? No, man, they don't. That's the problem. That is the big problem. Red Ape, there's no guarantee, man, as to what's gonna happen. But right now, it seems like we're gonna trade sideways for a little bit. It happened back here as well, man. We had that big bounce, and then we traded sideways for a day. So today, guys, might be one of those days, unless something happens, right? Unexpected. Which, again, we had this dip. So to me, it just seems like we are gonna be kind of trading sideways until tomorrow. Which, again, that's where we have a lot of volume. This was, remember, the algorithm giving up right here. Boom. And then here is when we really started to go up on May 25th. So this, again, guys, I'm not sure what they have in store, but if we start to track identical again, so if we start to come up like this, then we are tracking inverse now, right? So what could have happened is we had an algorithm shift. So this was like them actually covering, and I would technically have to highlight this green because it would be an algorithm shift. But when it's yellow, again, we had this shorting. So it could be a good sign, but there's really all you can do is speculate, right? But right now we are tracking identical again. So this portion was inverse, right? We had this bottom inverse, and now we seem to be tracking identical. So what I want to see is sideways pressure like this to create a double bottom and then bounce. And that would be, to me, that would be a little bit bullish. So we'll see. Yeah, because that's what's happening right now. No, Kevin, so the damage was done already, man. This was the pressure. This was the inverse played out right here. As you can see, inverse. This entire section right here just played out today. Okay, so here, I'm going to move this down a little bit so you guys can see. Okay, so this is the identical pattern down here. This is inverse. And this is what we're currently tracking, okay? So this, I'm going to kind of label these with arrows. See this pressure here? Right, that happened right there. Instead of it playing identical. And again, guys, for those of you that are just coming in, this is still a good sign. Remember, every day that goes by is going to be over and over, just validating the cycle's authenticity, right? Like, it's over and over again happening in the way these movements are playing out, right? If we ignore everything noisy that, as far as like news or catalysts, these are going to be tracking identical or inverse. And the cycle has chosen inverse right now, but we are starting to track identical again. So this might have been like a quick, this might have something to do again with this algorithm shift that we have nearby. We always have to look at what's happening within the day prior or the day after. So that's why I'm still not going to say this is a bearish sign for the rest of the week because of this. This is like a trick, dude. It's tricking me honestly into like it's hard for me to make an assumption for the following day because of this. So again, I'm just gonna let it ride, do its thing, not really pay attention to it, not go in on it or anything because it's really risky. I didn't know. I thought Widow Puppy was like a good, like, bro, I thought you were like in the movement, man. I didn't know you were like against it or anything. I'm sorry. Sorry you feel that way, buddy. I hope we can change your mind. You know, we're just trying to all feel good about something that is happening in the markets. If you can't see that, then that's fine, bro. Like, go watch a bearish YouTuber or something. No point in being in here, buddy. What's up, Francisca? What up, baby? I mean, well, the thing is, Widow Puppy, like, I understand, and that's cool, man, that you're in the stock, but, like, if you're gonna come in here and say that stuff, it's kind of contradictory, because, like, you're in a movement currently, in a space to to voice your opinion, which is fine, but you can't just attack, man, and go in anywhere you want to and say whatever the fuck you want. You gotta chill, bro. You gotta respect it. You gotta respect the community, brother. Yeah, you Casilli, yes, inverse right now currently. Hey Tickles, how you doing, man? So we have a we're currently tracking the cycle inverse, man. As you can see, we did have this downward pressure here, and then again tracking the current May cycle, the June cycle, but the May portion of it, May 13th through the 25th, and we're currently going down, but we are starting to track it identical again. So if you see this little portion right here, it's tracking identical again. So it's a little bit hard to tell, man, what's going to happen here in the near future, just because we did have this happen, right? That catalyst that we had yesterday, as well as this, and as well as this back here. So there's just a lot happening right now in the market that is messing with, obviously, the coordinated algorithm that we have here, this cycle. So we're just gonna have to see, man, what goes down. But tomorrow there is a lot of volume coming in, according to this cycle. So we'll see what happens here, man. It's really hard to say right now.
Is a cheap day. What exactly is it you've been drinking these days? Jukebox in the corner, long hot summer. You got a film up on the wall, and it's dark enough to dance. What do you mean you've never seen? Or maybe I was a little too wild in the 70s. Back down to earth with a lounge shimmer.
What do I think about Lou saying he's done with his part in the community? I mean, he has said that a couple times. This is the thing, man. This whole thing that's happening. Remember, I firmly believe that we need volume for this. And the only way, guys, and this goes against what you're saying, Widow Puppy, and I'm sorry, bro, you feel that way again, but, like, if the community is not, like, if we're not sticking together and like, coming together, a way to come together, man, is through YouTube. It's through, like, these live streams. It's getting personable with people and intimate with people. That's the whole point, is you see that a lot of people are in this together, so that makes no sense, man. I'm sorry, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you're currently in this chat, again, speaking to everybody, just through, like, your own bias, man. It's kind of, it's a little bit silly, to be honest with you, because, again, if we're trying to come together in this movement, obviously the whole point is trying to get as many people in this as possible, right? If we don't do that, then the hype dies down. That's just what happens, and I happen to believe that volume is a huge deal. But yeah, again, with Lou's part, man, is going back to that, is that I think Lou is like a good, he reminds me of, like, pre-Trey. If you guys remember watching Trey and stuff, he was like a really good, like, hype man. Like, he would tell everybody, like, hey guys, it's okay, like, this is what's happening. He sort of tells you his perspective and what he thinks is going on in the market, right? And that's in my opinion, it's a good thing, as long as you don't start to twist your like, your thesis, right, in the market. So again, I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't watch so much of what he's doing, because he posts very, very frequently. So I don't have, all the time in the world to go over every single video that he posts. But I know he has a huge following, and for him, it's like he can say he's done his part and stuff, but he's gonna keep posting, and in a way, that's a good thing because again, the amount of people that he has following and loyal to Lou is, again, whatever perspective you have, the ultimate goal here is to make a change, right? And if those people are holding to what he has to say about it, then that's a good thing, man. And that's, again, you follow whatever it is that your conviction is and who you're following and stuff, man, just stick with it, and that's it. It's all a community, bro. Everybody's gonna have a different a stance in the way they look at AMC, so that's fine. And at the end of the day, it's just pick your people, right? Pick your people. I think that's the best way to put it, honestly. How you doing, Mac and Bees, my guy? Tickles had a question. If you have time, do you think with the transparency rules, possibly eliminating synthetics, it will change the cycle because they can't use synthetics to move price and algorithm? So in the long term, yes, man, with just with other stocks in general. But I do think that the damage has been done already with AMC. So I think whatever is going to happen with AMC is already like predetermined, in my opinion. I think that the cycle can't be changed, whereas like pampered with, because again, they're running this algorithm where they have to, like, if they short in the past, they have to cover in the future, right? So it's really hard to shift it around until you meet a new price range and the stock starts to climb up, right? So when we go to new levels, that is when they will shift the cycle according to those new rules that have been implemented. So for right now, I would say that it won't really make a drastic impact on AMC, but in the future, yes, once this is all done and over with, especially with newer stocks, that is when it'll matter. And this is why, guys, we're never going to see something like this happen ever again, because with these new rules, that is going to prevent shorts from being over leveraged in a position. So that's why AMC, GameStop, and all these like overly shorted stocks are like such a huge deal, because we're never going to see this happen ever again, guys. It's the only opportunity, right? Yeah, and again, guys, like, remember, like, if this is Donut Hustle, he said he wasn't done. He's just writing it out with the community, believes everything is in place. And again, that's his conviction. That's what he believes. Remember, in this community, there's sectors, right? We have people talking fundamentals. We have people hyping it up like Lou. We have people talking technicals. And then here, like on a channel like mine, and let's say Astro and Booksy and all those guys, we're cracking down basically the mechanics, right, of the market and how it works. You can use it however you want, man. Some people are able to really study how this works and make money off of it. If that's something that helps you, then make money off of what's happening here, right? And some people use it for other things too. Some people use it for relief, right? That they know that there is market manipulation happening and that we need to spread awareness about stuff like this. And that's sort of like what my message is. Like, I want people to know what is happening with AMC. It's clear to the eye that there's a cycle happening, right? And I want people to know that, like, and if they're for it, then and that's able to help them, then that's great, man. But again, every sector that we have within this community is doing something different, right? So, you know, there's a lot of people, man, that come in here and they're like, everything is done, it's set for, like, we don't need to talk about this anymore. I'm like, okay, if you're a hype man and you've said what you said, okay, sure, don't talk about it anymore. But this to me is like ever evolving. It's constantly going to evolve. into something else. And if I can figure out what is happening with the price action, I'm gonna keep doing that, man, until we figure this shit out. So it's a different game, okay? Joe Ponce, the market is bipolar. Yeah, of course, man. Right now I mean, the market is constantly bipolar. It's, again, it's like, it just evolves with the generations that come through, right? Like, it's just constantly evolving and constantly changing and like morphing into like these new algorithms, right? That come in because of these new traders, right, that are trading a certain way, and it's sort of like inflicting the sentiment, and then it'll do its own thing. Sometimes, guys, like, certain technicals stop playing out the way they do, and they evolve into something else because of the market that's coming in, right? Joe, thank you, man. I'm keep playing it for you, buddy. Penguin, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad it's able to help you out, man, in whatever way. And again, you know, I'm gonna stick to AMC. I just updated this setup here so you can see, like, it all pertains to AMC, right? We got the little logo, we got the cycle down here. It's AMC until she squeezes. All right. This is looking nice though. Okay, yeah, so again, man, the trading with emotions is like an ironic thing, right? It's supposed to mean like, don't trade with your emotions. So, and this is like the whole movement, right? Is like, if you trade with your emotions, specifically on a stock like AMC, right, that's been consistently manipulated to play with your emotions, and that's kind of like where the whole name came up. It's like trying to, like, spread, again, awareness of how not to do things, right, with AMC. Like, don't overthink your emotions. Don't let your emotions, you know, get you to that point where you start to, like, second guess yourself and feel terrible about life and stuff like that, man. Because that's the thing about emotions, right? We can get to that point, especially with AMC. It's been a very manipulated stock that just has broken a lot of people, a lot of families and stuff, and it's just so fucking disgusting. All right, so again, that message is sort of trying to spread that for sure. What are my thoughts on trading with morality? Yeah, man, like, at some point, I think we are going to, maybe not in the near future, but at some point, the stock market is going to behave again differently, and it's going to be ran by a different government. Okay, the reason why, in this specific government, it's a capitalist government, right? So, a country, which means, like, there's a little bit of, believe it or not, man, but the government is like the middleman, right? It's the person that's sort of like trying to sort of take a little bit of both sides, right? The economy, as well as these with the community, within the community, and then the larger corporations, right, that are trying to control what's happening. And the problem is that right now there's a little bit, there's too much effort within, like, these given to these like larger corporations and institutions, and a little bit given to retail, right? Us. So we don't really have that voice to give, and it's harder to it's harder to change the system like just like that. It has to be evolving. It has to change over time. So that's why it's like, in my opinion, it wouldn't happen in the near future. It would happen like later, bro, like in years to come, when things are just different. And I think that's more of a again, it's not that it's not that mindset, but it would be considered more of like a communist sort of mindset, because again, remember, socialists and communists believe that everything should be more of like equal, which is a little bit more like moral if you think about it. But again, like the stock market system would kind of break if you think about it, because if you constantly have everybody winning, then there's really no way to like obviously win in the market, right? It's either like you win or you lose. Right now, it's if there's not the same amount of winners as there are losers, then the stock market doesn't really work, right? So it's kind of fucked up in the way that you think about it. But this whole movement, again, AMC is kind of just fighting against this whole system that is just like doing it in such an illegal way, because it's like, bro, it's like betting against like sports and stuff, right? If you're cheating on that shit, well, you should be held accountable, right? If you're playing the stock market, it's not that you're gambling or anything. If you're doing things right and you have a risk tolerance and you know how to approach the market, it's fine, and we're all here for that, right? But the problem is, like, when you start to get these hedge funds that come in the game and start cheating, basically doing what they did with AMC, GameStop, Toys R Us, Sears, Blockbuster, all of these companies that just did not deserve what they got, man. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the update here. Oh wow, Okay, we're tracking identical now. Interesting. So we keep tracking identical now. So what we did was, in the beginning of the day, we went down. We tracked inverse for a good half day, and then now we're tracking identical, guys. Okay, so this is a little bit, again, this is throwing me off just a tad bit, because again, we're tracking inverse and then identical right away. So again, this has a lot to do with this, guys, a lot to do with it. Stupid. Thank you, man. This guy. Love you, man. Rhode Island. So basically what we want to do, man, is, again, if we are tracking the cycle identical, what I want to see is this pattern finish out to the upside. So I want to see something like this happen, right? Instead of this, right? Which is the complete opposite. So this would have been obviously going up like this and then coming down, right? And then doing this. So this would be the inverse. And right now we seem to be tracking the identical part, so that's why I'm a little bit skeptical as what might happen tomorrow, because tomorrow we have a heavy volume candles happening from the past, which again has everything to do with the option dates, guys, and that's why you keep seeing these you know, very clear patterns to the downside and the upside. It's because of that, right? So I want to see this, man, happen, and then I'll be, again, if this happens, then I'll be a little bit more bullish than anything. But we'll see, man. Right now we are tracking identical. I'm gonna take these out because people coming in might be a little confused. I was gonna talk about something, man, and I don't know if I'm gonna pull it up real quick just to show you guys. So again, guys, in this channel, anything that has to do with AMC, I'm going to cover. So we have all the sympathy plays, which are GameStop and BV, right? They're both sympathy plays. So believe it or not, man, these all have their own cycle as well. And again, one way you can confirm that and find that is through the fast Fourier transform. The fast Fourier transform will scan a sequence and then spit out similar patterns that are happening right within that sequence. So here is Mrs. GameStop over here, and we are going to do a scan here real quick so you guys can see what's happening. But basically, this entire thing is scanning very specific patterns that are happening, right? So one way to confirm if this is like actually happening and it's not just showing up right on the this is a 1024 cycle period, which means you can take a bars pattern or the date range from this specific point in time, and then take it back here where it's 1024, and then what you do is you grab the bar patterns, right? So I'm gonna grab them from the past just to confirm that and to see if anything's playing out right, identical or inverse. So you do this, right? I'm gonna grab, I don't know, like that much. You bring this back here and look at this. So we have this entire sequence repeating itself identical, right, for GameStop. And then this part repeating, so you can even see here like how these are lined up and everything. But this part is repeating inverse, right? If I flip this down, this section is playing out inverse to the downside. So this is one way again to see what's happening with other cycles in the market. And I had a lot of people asking me this. They were asking me if there were like other cycles in the market, and there definitely are, man. It's just the one that's very clear is AMC to me. Like that, just the way it trades and the way things reoccur in AMC is much more clear than the other stocks, which like just screams that it's being like more heavily manipulated than the other stocks, because if you can see it happen being traded through the dark pool, it's going to be more clear that it's happening than it's not, right? Whenever you don't see them play out, that is when you'll see a lot of these like yellow portions happening. It's because there's more noise, right? So it's just something I wanted to show you, because a lot of people were asking me the other day if other similar stocks had a cycle too, and they do. They definitely do. Yeah, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary, which is really, really interesting, right? And a lot of people, man, a lot of people thought we were going to go up on that date. And again, thinking about it from the opposite perspective, right, of things don't need to play out as history says, right? They do. A lot of people thought we were going to squeeze, right, by that date because it was the 1 year anniversary. And that's just not true with AMC. It's just a way to trick retail and again, win on the option chain. It's just such a nasty game, the way they do it. I use TradingView, man. TradingView for charting. My layout is very specific, so I apologize if it looks a little weird. But let's look at... Which one did I have? I think it was this one, TA. Yeah, real quick. Oh, wow. Let's update this real quick because this is something I wanted to talk about. There we go. Okay. If you guys were here yesterday, I talked about these different these different phases, right? I was talking about how we should look at AMC as with every time we break to the upside or the downside, we should revisit, I guess, or not revisit, right, what happened in the past, right? A lot of people like to look at the past and say things might play out the same way. But if we just kind of ignore that for a second and just sort of focus on what's happening right now, right? I posted something on Twitter talking about how we were in this falling wedge, right? And if we focus on when we break out of this falling wedge, whether it's to the downside or the upside, now we're just we're understanding what's happening right here, ignoring what's happening back here because this is done and over with, right? We broke to the downside. So what can we do with this specific pattern, right? What can we do with this in the sense of, right, like we had a couple of scenarios, guys. Remember the inverse head and shoulders that didn't play out? We had the spring that didn't play out either. We had a double bottom scenario, right? That didn't play out either. And now we're in this falling wedge, right? That hasn't necessarily played out because we haven't broken to the upside. So, if we break to the downside, guys, again, we close off what happened here. A lot of these markers right here, man, are expiration dates that we have broken out of, okay? So here, for example, we were in this, weird, arc sort of pattern, mini flag that we broke to the downside by this expiration date. Happened the same back here, right? They broke us to the upside, but then they said, nope, we're coming back down. This is an option expiration date too. Same thing happened back here, and the same thing happened in between this portion here, which was also an option expiration date. So we're nearing, we're nearing this section right here, which is again taken from these option expiration dates. And if we break to the downside, man, I'm gonna again restudy what is sort of happening within AMC here and look at it from a different perspective, because once we break out of this wedge, what else can we do, right? What is going to be the next technical setup that they try and either play or fuck with us? So man, just looking at this, bro, if we don't break out soon, we need to bounce off of these resistance and support lines. So if we don't break out soon, I would change my conviction a little bit on the short term and see what we can do with this specific pattern. Because, man, on the 4 hour, I mean, just looking at this, it doesn't look so pretty, right? But this could be a giant spring, bro, that does something like this, man. If we... Oh, dude, I did not mean to do that. Ah, gee, I'm going to have to delete that. There we go. Okay. If you look at it on the daily or the 4-hour, this is a giant spring. Giant fucking spring. And again, I don't know what these technicals necessarily say for something like this, but this is a falling wedge that is very bullish, guys. So these tend to break out pretty heavily, you know, when they do pop up. So there might be a test where we sort of break out of this wedge and spring up very quickly to where, you know, maybe like 12 or 11, and then we spring up to like 25 or something, right? Nothing crazy where like we squeeze or anything like that, but a big spring. And that would be the start to the next technical setup, right? So we would ignore what happens here and move on to something else, because these are all different phases, okay? This is one flag broke out, one giant flag with 4 little flags that broke down, and then we have a wedge now. So I'm waiting for the next technical setup once we break out, and then we can look at it that way and make a better assumption, right, as to what's to come in the near future. AMC. Fizz, what do you mean, man? The whole chart looks like the pattern. What pattern? Which pattern? Cameron, this guy. What up, Cammy boy? He's my buddy, he's my best friend. He's chilling in the chat right now. I'm playing Alexa for you right now, bro. The pattern that repeats itself? Oh, you're talking about the cycle pattern? Oh, yes. Like, you're talking about this. So, well, actually, going based off of what you just said, I don't know if you were here yesterday, man, here, I'll pull it up. I think it's this one. No, it's not. Where is it? I think it's AMC right here. Okay. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so if you guys were here yesterday for like my explanation here of like the cycles and how they're happening, these Here we go. Okay, there we go. So again, man, this cycle that you're seeing, yes, if you take this entire pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're gonna do 4 just so you can see. And this is the coolest thing ever. This is why I think once I have this set up, I'll let you guys use it. I'll put it on TradingView. We're gonna do 13 at 7. What? Wrong one. I hate that freaking ghost feed or whatever it's called. All right, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 8 months, right? So to take the calculation of this, we can cut it in half or we can cut it in fourths. So if I cut it in fourths, this is what you get, right? And this is what you're saying, that it looks very similar to this pattern. So now that I've made this into a fractal, right, that you're able to basically put it anywhere in the chart, and it would make more sense then it doesn't, right? Because you're taking it into its own smaller range that could be used as a technical analysis because of option expiration dates, right? So again, and I can even cut this from the 1/4 I just did to another 1/4. So I can do this, man, as well, and use it, which is the coolest thing. Or I can do half. I could do half right here. But I'm gonna do the 1/4 so I can show you what's happening. There we go. So you see that? A lot of these patterns are like this specific portion of it. I'm gonna go to the 30 minutes so you can see what I'm talking about. This right here is playing out the same exact way, right? And guys, they're not gonna be exact, remember, just because you literally have to go to the 3 o'clock and the 3 o'clock, especially on a macro level. If you don't have it exact, there's going to be a little bit of time off, so bear with me here. But this is the entire section playing out identical, right? It's the only way you're going to do it is if you take it from like a converter, basically. If you have a converter set, it's easier to do it. It just, yeah, and stars, like 90% of holders are red. Yeah, man, like people have to think about it this way, like when you gaslight somebody almost in this way, it's like really nasty, but like imagine if the market is like just sugarcoating that AMC is not or is going to squeeze, and then they'll shake off as many people as they can, right? And they'll gaslight you, and then they'll squeeze it, and then when you lose all your money, they'll be like, well, it's Quoz, so what are you bitching about, right? Like, it's Quoz. That's why people have to stick with their conviction and go like, if you're in this, man, and you're able to risk whatever it is that you're risking, man, that's a decision that you're making, right? Because nothing has to play out in the market. But again, it's all a game, guys. It's all a game. And if you were back here, right, and you missed out on this entire thing, they did the exact same thing on a smaller scale. We're dealing with different price action right now. What's going on right now? Still haven't crossed the all-time low right now, which is down here. This is 14.20 area. 14.27, I think, was the all-time low for obviously the past like 8 months. So right now we're just kind of trading again sideways for a little bit before coming back up. Just look at, I mean, guys, wouldn't you appreciate to look at like AMC in this way though? Like, just done and over with, move on to something else. Like, we're doing this, man. It's all good. Here, let's flip it over and see what we can do, right? If you were looking at this from this perspective, right, and we had, like, AMC had gone down to, like, all-time lows. We, like, sprung back in, up. We were in this channel for this long, and then we started to come up, right? And people were saying, like, dude, like, ignore this section right back here. So I'm gonna actually, let's do this. Yeah, ignore this section for a minute. This is what AMC looked like. I would say, dude, like, this is at really high levels, man, and just personally, I would say I don't want to see like 12, right? Because 12 was back here would have been considered like a resistance point, but right now it's considered a support line. So if we go ahead and add this right here, right, that's our support. And I would say, you know what, I know people probably think we're going to go up to that level, but I don't, like me controlling the price action, I don't want to go to that level. So I'm just going to short the fuck out of this and bring it down. Again, we're looking at this from an inverse perspective. So it always gives you a better just outlook in the way that things could play out, right, on the opposite side. So right here, man, I would be extremely bearish looking at it from an inverse perspective, which means it would be a bullish thing on the on its regular form, right? So that's just something else, guys, that I do all the time. Is just to like sort of tell myself, hey, dude, like if I look at it from this perspective, it might give me more insight, right? I do have some boom boom candles. Not like boom boom boom, but like it's hefty, I guess. 130,000 in volume. Again, guys, this looks exactly like what happened with BA, right? If you guys remember me pulling up the BA chart, very, very easy way to compare these right together. And this is BA on moving average on the inverse form, right? You look at it, it looks the same as AMC right now, and see how it's coming back down right here to riding this trend line, and then it's about to break basically its downside. It's like it wants to come down. So again, I don't want to confuse you guys. This is me looking at regular BA form, right? These are all technicals, right? And then looking at AMC's inverse form, right? Because the opposite is what is happening here. Right? It's their opposites happening right now. See? And it traded sideways for a really long time. However, this doesn't really apply how you think, because they're completely different stocks. Okay, BA is not as manipulated, right, as AMC or anything. But it shows you a picture of how things are traded, right, in the market, right, in the way that things happen, like in the way things happen on a technical analysis perspective, where it's like you have these come downs and it's setting up to be in this like regression trend for a really long time before breaking down and then coming up very slowly and then, you know, being shorted to the bottom, right, for BA, because it's the opposite. But with AMC, it's like this can happen very soon, right? Here it's saying that for BA it would have happened around this time. So I don't know, it's just something to look at for sure. The patterns, guy, the patterns. Look at this. You see that? The way, like, look at that. Same ratio too. Down. Right here it starts to do its own thing. Really cool way to look at it. Patty Mac, how you doing, man? right, let's see what's happening right now with AMC.
Why don't you call your mother more than you do? She lies awake at night and cries for you. Why don't you write a letter? Well, maybe
It's 1 o'clock.
take the morning train and head for home again. Come back, Billy Joe. Your mama needs you. She's made an apple pie the way she used to. Come back, Billy Joe. She longs to see you. You could be here in no time if you choose to. You always were an independent girl, but you've had time enough to see the world. So come back, Billy Joe. Your mama needs you, and Lord knows.
Yeah, man, Fizz, I was thinking of doing that too, man. I was like, I need to do a like tapestry, right? And like, just like once everything squeezes, like just have the pattern like laid out there. It's gonna be so nice, dude.
Your sad voice on the line gives it all away. There's just one thing to say. Whoa, come back, Billy Joe. Your mama needs you. She's made an apple pie the way she used to.
Yeah, or a huge painting. A painting would be awesome, bro. Painting would be awesome.
See you. You could be here in no time if you choose to. You always were an independent girl, but you've had time enough to see the world. So come back, Billy Joe. Your mama needs
Have a nice painting. I'm not, so I didn't do this or anything, but I do have the current cycle that you're seeing on the screen. I have, like, it's not for sale, by the way, but I have an NFT of this, of mine, and it's the exact pattern. It's the entire cycle just played out on my actual channel. Just because I think, like, dude, it would just be so cool to have that as like a mint thing. Like, if this does squeeze, I'm like, dude, I have this freaking cycle thing. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's the coolest thing ever. I love, guys, if I wasn't doing like music and like streaming and stuff, I would be focusing on art. For me, like art, like just anything to do with like Photoshop or like After Effects, like of like morphing stuff and like making animations is like my thing, dude. I love it.
This is the real audition. Oh God, help us all.
Playing the freaking La La Land theme song right over. When will times get, wait, let me answer Lynn real quick. What's your thoughts if the price comes back down to single digits? So my thoughts on that is, again, so I personally don't want to see single digits because it kind of goes against the whole idea, right, that we do have somebody controlling the price action. And there's, again, multiple ways you can look at it, but if I look at it from the perspective that a institution, right, like Vanguard or BlackRock, these stronger institutions are controlling the price action, then it's, for me, like, thinking of it from their perspective, it would be hard that for me to want to take this down to single digits, because it would be a dangerous zone. You do have to short it being one of these institutions. So if you get a surge of volume coming in from retail because they see single digits, that's really dangerous. So again, if we go to single digits, I wouldn't really know how to think about it from or approach it right from that point, because now I would have to think that somebody else is controlling the price action that is not a larger institution. And then I personally would start to second guess myself on the short term, just like, okay, what's going on, right? Like, who's controlling the price action? And again, it doesn't have to be that way, but just logically thinking about it from like a psychological perspective, it wouldn't make sense to go to single digits, because that would turn into a bearish environment, right? Where AMC has crossed, right, that $10 level, which has broken many supports, and we're just $5 away, right, from 5, which was the low back here. And then at that point, it's like we've already reached extremely low levels. So it doesn't have me super like convinced, you know, that something like that would happen, man. But anything's possible, right? So we have to keep that on the table, because if it does happen, then we have to start to look at things from a different perspective, right? Are we still tracking identical or no? We're tracking identical now. We tracked inverse in the beginning of the day, however. If we come back here to the 30-minute, we are tracking identical now, as you can see, like perfectly identical, which is a good sign. It's a good sign that we are. Here we go. There we go. Identical, and then we tracked inverse in the beginning of the day, so you can tell right here. Leave it on this for a minute. I'll answer some questions. So, let's see. Lynn, but a single digits the shorts would cover. No. So this is my whole thing. Covering like at a lower price is not necessarily saving the shorts, because look at it this way, right? If you have, I'm gonna pull up like a blank, more of like a sort of blank screen here, so you can see what I'm talking about. If you have, right, AMC that went to 77, right? So if you were a short and you're like, I don't want to cover at this price, I would love to cover at a much more decent price. If we believe that there's like millions of synthetics right out there, or however many synthetics there are in the market, it wouldn't really matter at what price they started to cover, because the ripple effect would take this up very quickly back to these levels, where it's like, think about it this way, like if you covered at 77, yeah, per share, that's pretty expensive, right? If you divide that by 2 and you go down, right, all the way to what is it, like 37.2 or whatever, 37, no, 34, 33, man, what's 37? Is it 33.5? I think it's 33.5. No, it's not, dude, I'm stupid. What is it? I can't even do math right now. That's 60, 66, 77, 70, 35, 7, 7, 14, 7. It's like 40. No, it's not. It's, whatever. Let's just say it's like 38 or something. All right. I think it's like 38. Anyways, round up, whatever. And then you divide that by 2, right? You keep going down until you get to the cheapest price possible. Right? So now we are at 17, around 17 or 18. Let's do 18. And this is probably terrible, but I can't think right now, so I apologize. And then from 18 we go down to 9, okay? Which we are not at yet. So how many times did you cut the price in half, right? You cut it in half 3 times. So would it Is it more favorable to cover down here? Of course it is, but not how you think, because once they start to cover, you need buyers, right? And if people are in this movement and they're holding, it's at some point those synthetic shares, they're only going to be able to cover a few at this price before it gets to this price, right? Because when there are synthetics, that means that the outstanding shares don't equate to that, which means that you have to get rid of all the outstanding shares before you start to cover the actual synthetics. And when you start to cover the actual synthetics, you're not even going to be dealing with this price anymore. You're going to be dealing with, right, where we want to be at, which is over $1,000, right? We want to be at higher levels. And so if you think about it, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter where this goes. At the end of the day, when they start covering these synthetics, we're not going to be at this price action. So I don't think that matters, to be honest with you. I personally don't think it matters. And that's why I believe that there is another institution controlling the price that is not Citadel, that is not, right, a short position that's over leveraged. Yeah, sorry guys if I did the math wrong. I'm like, my ear right here is listening to the music, and then I'm over here trying to like concentrate on the questions and stuff. Whatever, I'm sure it was close, so we'll leave it that way. I'm sure it was close. What's 19.25 times 4? Well, if we do 0.25 times 4, that's 1. And then 20 times 4 is 80. Minus 4 is 76. Plus that 0.25 is 77. So 77. I do math weird in my head, but again, I wasn't thinking. I was trying to focus on what I was trying to say, so I don't get to... I get a lot of shit happening in my head, man. It's like hectic in there. Here we go. Leave that there. How you doing, Derek Rose? My guy, how you doing, Mike? Marco, how you doing? Everybody else I've seen here. Dom, how you doing, man? stupid. How you doing? Fizz, my guy. Yeah, we are still okay here. You know what would make sense too? I mean, just like looking at this, it's such a weird pattern, but I mean, like we're tracking identical here, and bro, what the fuck? Let's look at other. Let's go back here and like crack these real quick and see how they played out, right? Maybe that'll give us a better picture. Since I'm here with you guys, we'll do it. Try and figure this shit out. See what happened back here, right? How we can use this to make a good, right? A good. Have the inverse right here. And the identical. Let's see how this played out here. So we have here, we'll start highlighting it here and start cracking it down. So this was identical here, that played out. And then up, down. I would say this portion right here was, this whole portion was actually, right here was all, hold up. Okay, I'm sorry. The beginning starts to track inverse or identical, which is again the same as all the past three. Right here, I would say it's still sort of tracking this movement until about right here, where it starts to track inverse. So I'm gonna say right here. Okay, and then here we start tracking the inverse. Inverse and then down. Okay. So this is where most of the volume starts being traded towards the basically where they start shorting the stock. That's where we start to see more of the volume. The beginning is, depending on which cycle that you're tracking, it's always going to be a little bit noisier than most. But again, the beginning and the end of the cycles are always the noisiest. So this would be, for me, I would consider this identical as well, coming down. It's very scattered. Okay. Okay, so here's where they started shorting it, right? And this is where we started to get a lot of noise. Or not a lot of noise, I'm sorry. A lot of action happening. So you can see here, like from an inverse perspective, like if you start to, like if you grab this specific pattern, right, and bring it over here to the other cycles, like back here, right? Here's 1, 3 to 3. Same thing, right? You get this downward pressure right here from the movement in June that is bringing the stock down, right? From here to here to here to here to here. And some of these patterns, right? So for example, right here, you can tell that it played out identical, right? This whole portion right here is flipped. And again, some of the patterns, like in between, you're going to see areas that are more yellow than others, right? The ones that I focus on the most are going to be right here, right? So we got the blue pattern that's played out multiple times. We've got this portion right here, and then we have this portion right here. It's like right before it ends. So the noisy parts, I'm gonna do in like yellow, that I don't focus on as much, are gonna be like in between. So like right here, right back here. In between here, we do get like a noisier part, even in the beginning as well. So it's something to consider, guys, when we're doing this. Okay, it's really looking at the ones that matter the most. Again, are going to be the patterns that I talk about the most, right? The blue pattern, the green pattern, and the pink pattern, because they're the ones that set up the possibility of a run up or a run down. And right here, again, we tracked inverse first, and now we're tracking identical, whereas at the other ones, we tracked identical first. Back here as well. This is going to the upside, and then back here as well, going to the upside before coming back down. So yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's really hard to tell, to be honest. Just because, like, having multiple like here, like it's. I haven't really seen, like, from the past 3 cycles, I haven't seen any of them really play out according to what's happening in June. They bounce off of each other. So what happened back here relates more to not June specifically, but back here in September, right? If we hover this pattern over, we played out this pattern more than what happened in June, right? Bring this over here, and it's the same movement, right? You see that? Up, up, down, right? And then we start coming down. So this one followed September way better than what happened in June. And again, guys, I do consider that as well. And I have been placing I've been placing November, September, and August back here, but they don't track as pretty as May. So. Francis, I don't believe that options help especially if they're out of the money. Out of the money options are just fueling these hedge funds from playing this game. So I don't believe that. Unless they're in the money and you start like exercising them and stuff, that is going to distort this entire movement. Yes. Lynn, sorry, one more question. Wouldn't it be in the short's best interest to repeatedly do that? Drive the price down, cover a little, drive the price down again. So yes and no, because the ultimate goal here is these long institutions, right, that are driving the price to these levels are trying to trick both retail and shorts into doing whatever it is that they're doing, right? But there's reason behind that. Is they want that reputation in the market, right? When you compete with companies, you want to take them down, and that's the whole thing. Is that they want to take Citadel down because they have good reputation within the financial market system. They have a lot of positions in like chairs and stuff like that. So that is one way in which they could take them out and just wipe them off, is by drying them along the way. So that's just one way to look at competition in those markets. Yeah, they have a lot more money and they can really fuck with them, but they know that they're over leveraged, so it's easier for them to really be playing this game. And then Citadel probably knows it's happening, and they are trying to play against the game as well with other positions. So they will run up other stocks, they will short other stocks, go long, go short, whatever it is, man, to make some money. And somebody had said that that's why they thought Ken Griffin actually borrowed $1 billion, was to basically play against the system, right? He knows that they're fucked here, so what they want to do is make their money, right, when the market does go down or crash. That's just another theory as well. When you say noisy, do you mean distorted or added range movement? So noisy is just like separating it from, so like these, okay, so there's two ways to look at noise, man, in the market. Noise would be like these specific movements that are not correlating to what's happening with AMC, like inverse or identical, would be considered noise. And like it's in broad terms because we don't know what's happening here. So once it occurs, it's easier to make that like assumption, like what happened back here. Right here, we know that we had some news, right? We had the whole thing with the market and the SEC talking about these new rules that they were going to implement for shorts. So this is considered noise, but at the same time, it could also be something else. It could be them taking advantage of that news catalyst if there's not enough volume coming in to make it seem like retail is buying when they're not. So that's why I label these in yellow, because they're more of like an unsure, noisy part in this entire cycle. And it's harder to study those. But when there's not noise, you can see it very clear happening, the manipulation happening, right? So here, there's not like any noise happening because look at this, man. It's exactly tracking the identical portion of what happened back here in June. So that's what I would consider. It's a little bit broad in terms, man. It's a little bit broad. Let's look at AMC because I think it's going down. Again, yeah. Let's see what time frame this is in. Quick, because this is a fractal that we all should know. Anybody know where this is from? Put it in the comments below. I'm curious if you know. Give me the date, brother. The 1 hour here. We're gonna do a 60 bar to study this fractal. We're gonna do it from 12:30. Yeah, 12:30 to wherever this is. $60 bars. Now the fractal is a little messy, but this happened somewhere in the cycle, not the current June cycle, but it happened somewhere if you guys know where it's from. Yeah, Lynn, no problem. Of course, anytime. It's a 1 hour, so we can mess with it, but on a really larger time frame here. Right? As long as we use the math for it, it's acceptable to do it that way, right? So you know what? This isn't the. Let's copy this real quick and put it over on the cycles. This right here. To make sure we are right and not, you know, 2 hours calculated here for you. So it's a 1 hour. It's a 1 hour time frame. So again, just make sure you're at 3 and you're at 3 back here. It would be 15 to 15 would be, or let's go back here. That would be 2 months, so that would work. 3 to 3. Yeah, perfect. All right. We might use a different time frame depending on where this fractal is found. It's found back here. So let's just hover it over and then transfer it over to that table, right? See what we got going on here. See how like the movements that are happening here are similar in that sense, except here, right, you got your little like sort of cup, no handle, and then it comes down, and this is a lot more drastic. This fractal would have been sucked into a, like what I keep saying, a black hole, because it gets stretched, right, and it stops following this fractal at this given time. And again, guys, one way to be careful with fractals is that they stop following at some point. This one's really cool, though. I really like this one because it really sets it up and no movement. But you could see right here, this entire thing is like in its own way right here, right? And a lot of these are played out obviously inverse too. Like you can see these patterns playing out inverse to each other. Come back here. What are we doing now? Are we just going down? Not June, question mark. Looks like the triple to the decline to not from 10 to 19 of June. It might be, man. Let's look at it. All right, this song is a little too psychedelic. Let's change it up and get funky. Yeah, inverse to it. You're right. Yeah. Good one, man. Good eye. This is the blue. It's a blue pattern. It is the exact blue pattern of June. You could tell it's that sort of right coming up. Obviously on a smaller scale, but you get the point. Yeah, good catch, man. What else can I bring up? I can bring up the... Let's see. Okay, let's go look at AMC real quick because we are close to like going down, which again, this would be the cross here, guys. We might get a double bottom scenario and then start coming up too. Let's look at it. That would be what we don't want to cross. If we do, again, we're still going to look at the technicals here, guys, but I want to go and, again, I don't want to see this down here. This is the old, for me, like, if we get down to this point, it's really easy to just come back down and into single digits. So we want to make sure that if we do cross this, that we stick along, right? We don't go below that wedge because they're going to keep pushing down as far as they can. Maybe not to cross, in my opinion, not to cross this level and then bounce back, right? You're going to trick both longs and shorts doing this. Like, this is a really long wedge to the downside, extremely long. There we go. Okay, so here, guys, again, we are following. I'm gonna pull up the the bars here. Just, I know a lot of people prefer to see that. I personally don't like the bars just because they're really messy. And the moving average is fine to use, guys, on a macro level. It really is. You're looking at it on the macro, so it just gives an easier way to study what's happening, in my opinion. But just to see what these candles are. I don't think wicks are that important when analyzing a just an overall picture of what's happening with that specific, that specific TA, which is a wedge, a falling wedge. So again, just pull them up real quick and get them out, and let's bring the moving average. Well, let's go ahead and redraw this line here down here, get it accurate. 11 down here. Okay, cool. 11 moving average. Make sure it's aligned. There we go. What's this? I don't know where these are coming from. Okay, let's ignore that for a sec. All right. So this is the falling wedge, guys, and we're still respecting this support line here, this trend line that comes down. So as long as even if we were to bounce down here, we're still breaking this support, but we're not breaking the trend line following this back down here. Because remember, with a falling wedge, you take the most significant previous support, which is down here on this spring, like mini spring, right? And then you align it down here as well, right? You're in this like wedge regression trend sort of thing happening here. You can even look at it this way as well. This would be another regression trend here. This is also a possibility on a technical perspective, right? That we are in this sort of like regression trend. And these like break down. Okay, there we go. Doesn't really change much, but there we go. Different possibilities as to how this can play out. We are also guys, and I'm gonna delete this here. This is another way you can look at it as well. You can take this up here. This is the next highest point, or I'm sorry, not that one. This one. Okay, there we go. I think it's this one. Okay, where did I get this regression trend? Okay, hold up. I think it's right here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I found it. I'm gonna delete this just 1 second so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Another scenario would be that we're not in a falling wedge, but we're in a this longer like regression trend, right? Which is bouncing off of support again, resistance, support, trending down, and then bouncing back up here to resistance. It's another way to look at it, but it could happen too. Let's see if there's another regression trend we can do. Can we do something like this? Maybe this one would make a little bit more sense. Yeah. Well, this one, well, I don't know if this one makes more sense. With regression trends, whatever, they have to look kind of like parallel to each other. Not perfect, but they should look like fairly parallel to each other, because if they're not, then again you start to narrow down on what we would call a wedge instead, or a flag, if it's not parallel. So that's why I'm focusing a little bit more on this wedge than would be that regression trend, right? So let's go ahead and draw these lines again. So we break down, or break up, man, break the fuck up. There we go. And there's only so much you can do, guys. Remember, with this, a lot of the times you won't see this narrowed down all the way, right? If we do that, this thing goes down literally forever, right? It goes down till what would be March, and it would come down to 6 if we just were on this freaking downtrend forever. I don't think this would happen. Again, we tend to break up earlier than normal on wedges. On falling wedges, we would break out a little bit earlier. So that's why I think once we maybe bounce one more time depending on what happens tomorrow again with the cycle, if we start breaking to the upside, that is going to be, again, bullish for me. We need to break this, guys. We need to just fucking break it and bounce. What's the bottom of, okay, yeah, I'm sure you might have heard that, man. AMC wrap. The bottom of the wedge would have been that 6, but again, we don't, just from doing technical analysis and stuff, most of the time you don't narrow down until you meet that specific event, which is all the way down here. You typically break out earlier, and this is, again, it's very distinct in the way you can see it, this wedge. So as long as we bounce again to the support and just cross and keep going, we should be okay. We're at dangerous levels, guys. We really are. Double bottom without the wicks, obviously. Let's go to the 1 minute. Now we're bouncing back. See? All right, let's look at the cycle again. Time is it? We got 15 minutes to re-update this. So just by looking at it in the way it's going to re-update, I would say it's going to come back up here. Again, still tracking the, right now, tracking that identical pattern. Jason, how you doing, man? Just want to do something real quick as well, guys, with just the market sentiment and what's happening. I know I've been getting a lot of messages as to like what is going on in the market and what people thought. Again, this does relate to AMC, so I do cover stuff that relates to AMC, okay? Don't want people hating on me in the comments like, oh, you said you were going to stick to AMC. I am. I'm trying to help you. That's the point. I'm trying to help you. Let's go here on the GameStop cycle. I don't feel like opening up a new one. And let's bring up the SPY real quick. All right. Again, I was doing a fast Fourier with the SPY, guys, and it's a little bit different, okay? It's not as clear how you can get these. See how there's a lot of noise on the SPY with the Fourier transform? Why? Because the SPY is not as easy to manipulate, right, as AMC and GameStop. So AMC and GameStop, you see a straight line and then a freaking like to the upside or the downside. Here you don't. It's a lot harder to, right, like if this is tracking it here on a 1024 bars pattern, one way to like literally see this, guys, look, I'll bring this section back here, right, this entire section, bring it over here, right, it doesn't look right, it doesn't look the same or anything because it's not tracking those frequencies. It's messy. It's a very messy sequence compared to GameStop, AMC, BB, where you can clearly see that it's happening. So anyways, we'll take the Fourier transform out of here. So what do I think about what's happening in the market, man, with the SPY and stuff? I think that, like, personally, guys, and this is just my opinion, I'm not making predictions or anything, but I think just the way things are right now, I don't think it's that end point to which we would just start, going down and crashing all the way down here. I don't think so. I think that once we do get that, like, market crash, it's going to look something like this, okay? Where a lot of people think, like, I've seen a lot of charts, guys, that look like this. No, there's no way. This is a correction, and then, right, impulse to the upside. If we get a small correction and start, like, doing something like this, right, we could still go up, bro, and have this not be over for a little while. Because market crashes, like, the system, at least, and the way they are sort of, like, sparing the SPY's life is by selling all these puts and calls that they have, and they're wasting a lot of fucking money doing that. But it's gonna be really, really hard for people to just believe that we're gonna just come down, right, and keep coming down and crash in like 2 weeks, right? That's not gonna happen. I think it's gonna take years, guys, for us to, like, come down, like years. Even if we start coming up and shit, it's gonna look fucking weird, bro, like this. I'm not even kidding when I say that. And that's why, but, like, you guys got to be careful. Try and look at it from a different perspective, and not how things happened right in the past. Back in 08, you can even see, man, like, this entire thing dealing with a different price action. So this is about a 1/3. So if I just, like, kind of just gauge it, man, just gauge it to a 1/3, I would say with something like that, right? So we're dealing with different price action. Again, you won't get that, like, straight down, right? It's a different game, guys. Be careful. Damn, I just got water in my eye. Jeez. Probably looks like I'm crying now. Guys, I'm fucking crying. Alright. I'm gonna update soon here. Okay. Alright, we're at 1460. So that to me is again, down. Things are so fucking detailed, bro, on the 1 minute. It's fucking insane. It's so funny how this looks. Oh god, bro, look at this. Look at that, guys. Right, and then right here, boom, boom, up, down, down. Crazy. Freaking fractals, right? Fucking fractals. Yo, what's good? Big Dog, how you doing, man? Ante, how we tracking? We're tracking, man. We're tracking identical right now. We tracked inverse early in the day. We came down, and then now we started tracking. Well, it's still a little bit hard to say, to be honest, man. We could still be tracking inverse. For me, I wanted to see something like this happen, where we would, you know, if we were tracking this, it would be like coming down here. I'll draw it here. For it to be inverse and then come back up like that. Or I'm sorry, identical. We'll move that guy up here. So I want to see something like that instead of playing down to the downside. If we do play out to the downside, then this whole pattern gets turned into an inverse pattern, right, on the macro. Just because, again, these smaller movements, this is the 30-minute, so on the 1 hour, it would look a little bit more distinct to be an inverse pattern. Alright, let's get some freaking... Missed those elephant days, huh? Me too. Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially since we're coming down, it looks a little bit more inverse than anything. I'm going to keep this right here because I want to see what happens for the rest of the day. If it continues to come down, then yes, this whole portion gets switched into what is an inverse pattern. And that's fine. You start tracking it along the way, highlight it what you think is, you know, happening. But right now, if we keep coming down and we do a sort of like just cup, then obviously I'm gonna change it into inverse. And then at that point, guys, just please be very careful with tomorrow. Don't put so much confidence in what you think is going to happen. Let things play out first. It's, you know, not financial advice, but like, you know, if tomorrow this is 8 o'clock, if we start seeing some like upward pressure and then kind of down like this, damn it. You know, it's a better confirmation than doing something right now, reckless. So please be careful, guys. Don't do anything crazy. Ante, so if you're new to the channel, man, I'm not sure if you are or not, but this doesn't tell us when the run-up is going to happen. It's tracking a cycle. It's tracking a cycle that is reoccurring because of option dates. So these patterns that are happening on a micro, semi-micro / macro level, you can say 30-minute, I would say it's like in the middle, is something that reoccurs every single 2 months, basically to a T-man. Basically, and what I mean by that is that there's a lot of portions in between, like the yellow noisy parts that we are not really sure could be a news catalyst or if it's truly coordinated and these funds are taking advantage of covering and shorting shares at that specific event in time, or point in time, I'm sorry. So it's not really a way to, like, this would not happen, in my opinion, in the near future like this. It's just pointing towards that direction if we play out identical. But a lot of the times, the past 3, we have played inverse. So this is why I'm a little bit uneasy about what's to come, because if we start tracking inverse, then this entire thing would point to the downside instead of pointing to the upside, which means we would break out of that wedge where we to the downside, which is obviously bearish at that point. And that's something that I personally don't want to happen, but we have to keep an eye on it. Chase, how you doing, man? Do we see this falling under 1450? It's possible, man. Right now, I am just keeping an eye out for this for the cycle, right? Trying to understand the direction at which it wants to point. I know right now we have an hour left in the market, so this is making it a little bit harder to understand whether we're gonna straight to the upside or come back down. We'll see it happen after hours. But tomorrow might be might be an indicator as to what might happen. Okay, so guys, just remember one thing. Okay, if things start to play out identical tomorrow, you need to watch out for one thing. Okay, and I'm gonna say this right now for those of you that are listening, and make sure you keep an eye out for this too. Okay, we've had this happen many times before. You have to consider that tomorrow is Friday. Okay, so if we get something like this, okay, and we start tracking identical, a lot of the times on Fridays, we do come up in the morning because they want to get that premium. They want to bring that premium up and sell more options. And people go in on what people call these lotto plays. So don't overly trust what's happening here, because I'm telling you, man, it doesn't have to play out whatsoever in this way. We see it happen right here where it starts tracking inverse and then identical a little bit. If they use this to shift the algorithm, which is called session shifting, this could have already been taken into account back here. So what that means is that, let's say them covering right here, they're using that to leverage what's happening back here on the short term, which means they can literally play out the identical at first to create what is that covering pressure, all the volume up here, and then just play it out inverse for the rest of the day and do something like that. So you guys need to be careful, man. Okay, I don't want anybody losing money for this, because this is also a likely scenario. It's Friday, okay? And Friday, they always bring it up. If you look at the history of how Fridays play out, it's upward pressure and then they short it. So be careful, please. But Lynn, yeah, and look, and I respect that. I really do. I respect everybody's opinion here, guys. If you think something is going to happen, stick with that. Stick with what you think. It's always good to stick with your conviction and just use anybody that is in doing YouTube and trying to study these charts and stuff like that. Just, you're watching here to apply your own bias to it in the end. So it doesn't matter what I say. What I say is not going to be 1,000% correct ever. And nobody in the market knows what's going to happen in the future. So again, we need to take everything with a grain of salt, truly, because no one can predict it, man. Nobody is Superman here. Nobody fucking has powers to predict what's happening in the market. It's just giving you an overall picture of how things are being traded through the option chain. That for me personally is very true, and I can see it happen here. But again, it's a 50-50, and no one can predict. No one can predict the outcome of that. So be very careful. Again, please. The last thing I want is people coming to me and asking me and other people why things didn't play out. You guys need to be careful. I appreciate. Yep. Yep. Why did AMC and GME go from negative beta to high beta? Well, you can I mean, you can kind of see that happen in the like on the OBV. If I bring up the OBV real quick, just so you guys can see, in a way, because not that this has nothing to do really with like the way we trade with like the market and stuff. If it's in a positive direction or not, but it gives you an overall picture of like the direction at which it's trading, which kind of goes hand in hand, right, with that. Right now, you can't really tell any divergence happening on the OBV, so I'm not really paying attention to it. On the previous run-ups, you can clearly tell that the OBV is, so here, let's go to the 2-hour. The OBV starts trading inverse to what the run-up is going to be, right? So here, you can study that, right? Because we have pressure, buying pressure, while the OBV is going down, right? Which is inverse to what's happening in the direction, which, again, you can use this to sort of kind of tell when we're going to go up. It happened back here as well. OBV goes down, and then we go up. Down, and then we go up. Right now, it's not really it's tracking identical to what is this pressure to the downside. So this is why we need volume, guys. This is why volume matters in the end. Is we're gonna basically track inverse to what is happening here, and then going with your point, man, on the positive beta. We've been, again, like, as volume sort of dries out a little bit, we are following market sentiment, man, because of the fear in the market right now, the SPY. So it's easier to bring the price action down with it, basically calling it not normal, because that's like a good thing, man, if you think about it, because in the past, since we were negative and not tracking it, but now we are, it's telling us that the market is taking us down with it, which is a good sign, because, right, like, if the market is going down at some point and we start correcting, and that beta sort of changes to the negative again, and we start playing inverse to the OBV, then, dude, at that point, we should be starting to look at what happened back here and that setup, right? But that won't happen, in my opinion, just for a little while. We got to wait a couple of months, guys, to have that setup happen. So, again, I just don't want to see, I personally don't want to see us cross these, like, into single digits. But again, guys, if that does happen, then I'm going to be sort of looking at things just from a little bit of a different perspective, in the sense of, like, who is tracking the price, like, who is in control here, because it does change a lot in the way that I'm looking specifically at the cycle. So I have to be very careful with that too, man. This guy. Flip your screen upside down and you'll see negative beta at work. Yeah, you flip it upside down. Of course. Of course. We start to really see that happen back here. If we compare the SPY to what happened back here, you will definitely see negative beta. But yeah, these are negative beta stocks, guys, because they don't really track, or they haven't in the past tracked to what the SPY is doing necessarily. It's just a way to, like, typically on the run-up days, the market will be more green than not. But on the major market days, the market will not necessarily be green. It tends to trade completely opposite. So the negative beta is on the extreme side. All right, let's look at just this real quick on the 1 minute. Let's see what's happening here. Yeah, right now I mean, you can tell, man, we are tracking the SPY to a T. Again, it's not the most bullish thing. Not a bad thing, like I said, man, because again, the market is weird right now, but how the frick is this very, very, like, clear? Looks so weird. Okay. There we go, that's why. I was confused for a second. It's like, why does it look like that? Okay, so it's a SPY here on the 1 minute, and very weird the way it looks. Yeah, bring that guy down there. 27. It is likely, guys, by the way, that we might get like one, like, and again, guys, this relates to AMC, so I'm gonna cover it here, but if we do get like a sort of dead cat bounce here, it might be a quick one into maybe this range over here, right here. Wait, no, over here. Is this what I'm talking? Yeah, right here. So it might come down to like sort of test this thing real quick before starting to come back up. In my opinion, I don't think we're gonna see major drops at like people think, man. I think it's too early in the game to be bringing the SPY down, man. In January, it's just too good to be true. Too good to be true, in my opinion. Yo, what up, David? How you doing, my guy? Yo. This guy. What do you think, David? What do you think, man? You're the SPY expert here. What do you think about the SPY? You think we're going down to a penny? Dave in the chat. David Marino. 425 possible tomorrow? Yeah. 425. And you think we're gonna get like a double bottom bounce and come back up? You bullish for the long term? Or are you bearish, man? Just depends on volume. Be funny to get something like this, you know, and I don't know. Get a little W, trade sideways, just shake some people off. With like, you know, with this like pressure, man, heavy pressure to the downside, a lot of volatility. It's like right after it, I feel like a lot of people, you know, that think it's going to come down here, maybe like to 350 or whatever. It would be a crazy move to the downside if we got maybe that quick correction and then come back up, right? But I don't know, man. Something about this just has me like a little bit skeptical about how fast this came down in January. I feel like we might, like, it would be too early to crash, in my opinion, especially with like, you know, people not having their taxes yet. I know that the market uses that to people's advantage sometimes, man. People get their taxes back and then they go in on the market. So you sort of get a bullish rally one last time around that like March time. You know, stocks come up and then they bring us back down, right? I don't know. Yeah, there you go. He says, I feel like retail is over bearish right now with subs 400 targets. I agree that they will likely kick back and push back up. Yep. Hell yeah, man. Hell yes. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Maybe something like this, and then, yeah, get cross over that 500, and I don't know, definitely go above a psychological point, which would be 500, right? That psychological level, and then I don't know, maybe have a very quick, run to the upside. Maybe go into the 600s and then start to come down like quicker, right? Something like that. I'm like very shaky there, but I think that would be more ideal. Just like as a market maker, with like indices and stuff, and like the big companies. Something about this, man, is just like too good to be true. So I'm with you on that for sure. Running up a little bit more. Thanks for coming in, man. Fucking love ya. Alright, I'm gonna pull up the AMC chart real quick. Let's do... Man, I have so many charts open, I'm sorry. There we go. I need you to teach me how to make pretty charts. Yeah, dude. Hell yeah, let's hop on a little private Discord or something and get in on that action, man. I would love to. I've been playing Call of Duty with Rico, man. You should join us. Do a little trios or something. We play sometimes at night. You get on together, just fucking talk, man. Just chill. It's a good time. Yeah, dude. That'd be awesome. You make some dope fucking charts too, though. Like, your setup is awesome, dude. I think for me, it's just like, you know, using like just a bunch of colors and I'm very OCD, and a lot of people hate this, but I know a lot of people prefer the whole bar setup, and if I just got used to it, I would totally use it. It's just, I'm so OCD, bro, about lines and like just the way they look. I've gotten so used to this setup, so it's like, it's really hard to like, you know, break from that, you know. It's like, I tell people, man, like when I play Call of Duty and then switch over to Halo or like Apex, like the controllers are just not the same, you know. It's harder to adapt to something like that for me. So I don't know, I've just kind of gotten used to this setup. Definitely ticks a lot of people off for sure, though. David Marino Jr. Love that guy, man. Love that guy. He's the Wyckoff god. The Sentry. Been talking a lot about the composite theory, man, that you guys came up with. He's composite man. He's a composite man. He's the messenger. Sure. No, but for real, like the whole composite theory, man, is definitely on that for sure. Believe it 1000%. But yeah, man, you definitely, I think you got that spot on, bro, with coming back down to like 425. sort of hitting this very quickly, maybe after hours, and then yeah, this would be a crazy opening up, man. Opening up back here at the same level would be a crazy IV crush for whoever it is that is buying options right now, and then maybe coming back up tomorrow. Who knows? You know, this might, and again, guys, remember with market sentiment and AMC, a setup like this for the SPY, if this plays out, this would go for what is AMC tracking identical right now, right? If we got that setup from the SPY, that double bottom W, then again, the momentum would maybe bring the price action up. That's just a one way to look at it too, guys. Back to back, looking at AMC identical versus inverse, right? Now, however, if the SPY starts doing the opposite, and you know, early on we drop, you know, like not after hours, but like during the day we start dropping to these lower levels and then just continue to drop, then obviously at that point I would look at it the other way, inverse. So what's it gonna be, right? Andre, what up, dude? Chris, yo. Yeah, man, David, you got that spot on, man, for sure. It's the yeah, the reverse psychology game, man. This whole giant reverse psychology cluster. I posted something on Twitter, but I don't think a bunch of people got this. Where I was like, dude, if the whole Jim Cramer situation, like from a psychological perspective, think about it this way, and I titled it. It was like how to use reverse psychology against retail, right? And it would have been you get your public figure, right, which is Jim Cramer, has a lot of followers, right? You have this reputation that he holds, which is not, he doesn't have a good track record, but you tell people, right, on back in the day or whatever, a couple months ago, a couple years, you tell people to buy something and then it gets shorted. So you start a trend on Twitter, or you start some sort of trend against that to sort of ruin this guy's reputation and have the entire community just talk shit about what's happening, right? But then, like, you play against that game, right? Because now that you have everybody sort of on this, like, well, now that Jim Cramer says, you know, crypto's going down, well, this is where the whole reverse psychology thing comes in, because then crypto starts to go up, right, instead of coming down. And if you get enough people on this, especially in the meme movement, right, with AMC, Doge, all these different movements, then like you're double winning at that point, man. Like anybody who came up with this, and again, I might be thinking about it too much, but if crypto starts to go up like in the near future, and Jim Cramer told you so, it might sort of like, he might redeem himself on the short term here from going into like a from basically shitting on his reputation to coming back, and at the same time helping these funds, these institutions that are paying him to say this stuff. So I don't know, man. You have that point, right, Dave, where it's like the whole market is just entirely manipulated in that sense. It's just using reverse psychology against the trader and doing exactly what the opposite that they would want to do. Andre, we've been told, man. So Dave's actually my dad, believe it or not. I'm adopted, brother. So I morphed into his voice. It's just like the way we talk is. Let's look at this real quick. All right, I'm not gonna highlight this quite yet. I want to wait for this to play out because it is looking like more inverse than anything, guys. Anything could change though. We did track identical yesterday, so if you know, if we track inverse today and then identical tomorrow, well, so be it. So be it. Right. So what are we looking like here? Again, I try and focus a little bit more on the technicals, guys, of AMC intraday when things are not really stagnating the way they are now, right? So me focusing on technicals right now is not the best thing for AMC, just because, as you can see back here, right, we are just stagnating through this, and this is, again, suggesting that something might just stay very flat. For me, doing technicals and stuff, it'll be more when we are at levels like back here where we hit a bottom, right, and you know, we start to sort of start suggesting that something else might happen in the way it looks, right? This V sort of spring action here, and back here as well, like doing more technicals where you start to see more like the noisy part happening, and how you can compare the fractals and patterns, right, that happened in the past, back to back. So right now, it's not really the most convenient thing to do. Just by looking at AMC, it's going to be trading flat again for the rest of the day, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, rendered radical, man, like it's I think, look, man, like straight up, I think anybody in this movement who got in and was in this for a year, yeah, it was it was drag, it was emotional abuse, 1,000%. I don't think, and this is why I don't change my conviction, bro. I think it's all it's a way to shake off as many people as they can and make money along the way, okay? But in the end, bro, I'm telling you, this is why they're using this against retail and the shorts and the longs, because it's a blackmail game, or a blackmail game. It's a gaslighting game where you have this, like, they're basically like prolonging this as much as they can. And when we squeeze, and they've already done all this damage to you, if you were not in this play, then basically what they can backfire with, and this is where they gaslight you, is saying, like, see, it did squeeze, right? It's not that we didn't squeeze, we just didn't squeeze on your terms. So this is why it's really important to, like, just stick with your conviction, whatever it is that you have. If you're not on this play, then right, that's something that you're deciding, but like using against your risk tolerance too, man, because you're gonna end up hurting yourself in the end if you don't have the right if you don't stick to your conviction, man. So just be careful. They're gonna sugarcoat this in ways that bro, that is just like crazy ways. I'm telling you, man. It's the same thing that happened back in May. They're, again, spreading all this crap and shit online that will shake off as many people, and then those are the ones that are going to be hurting in the end, not the people that, you know, ended up staying on the play. And it's all like, this is how the market works, guys. Just shake off as many people as you can to make the most amount of money. So again, you can like feel this way, and it's completely acceptable. I understand that they fucking drag this forever and it's emotional abuse and shit. But once this does squeeze, man, if things play out the way they do, they're just gonna come back and tell you, I told you so. It fucking squoze. You can't really say shit if you were not in the play, right? They're gonna use that man against, and at that point, well, that would just suck. TWE plus David should do a live together. Yeah, man. If he wants to come in on, if I personally, man, either way, if you want to come in on this or if you want to do it on yours, man, if you're still in here, I'd be down for that. That'd be cool. Do a little podcast or something together. I know that Papa Goose is getting a bunch of people again together to do this like more rounded out perspective from each individual YouTuber and anybody that has like a sort of voice that they're providing to the community, and he's doing a really good job doing that. So maybe through that would be awesome, man. Or either way. But yeah, that'd be cool as fuck. That'd be cool. Derek Rose, you a cutie, man. What you mean? You a cutie? I love you, man. Thank you for moderating, bro. Really, truly a god for that. I appreciate you. I think we stay above 1450, or do I see a drop more? So again, it's really hard to tell right now, just with like what the cycle's tracking, man. I personally don't want to make that like prediction, especially in such a close time frame. What I did say earlier, if you were here, was that, you know, if depending on how things play out tomorrow, I'm going to ignore this part right here, but let's say we start tracking identical, right, tomorrow. I don't want to have that be confirmation that we're going to be running after we get to these levels, just because they have done this in the past where, like, if you shift the algorithm around, right, you know that there's very specific events happening in the near future that you can cover just a tad bit before because if you're at these levels, which would make it acceptable to do so, right? So when you have this tiny noise right here, we're at 14, right? If you're able to cover what was supposed to happen back here and transfer it over here, all you're doing is shifting the algorithm on the short term, not on the long term, because then it affects options. So this benefits them because the technical setup is, you know, you get your little spring, but you're able to still keep the price stagnating and not, you know, bounce completely when you're dealing with heavy numbers. So that's why, again, I don't want to really mess with this because this is not played out entirely in the dark pools, guys, as we can see here. It's shorts, longs, institutions covering everything. It's all into one, and it's something that I just can't I can't be really speculating as much as the other patterns that I've done before. So this one, I'm just gonna like let it ride out. And again, guys, stick to your conviction and be careful, because something like this can literally happen tomorrow, and we don't want to have anybody get hurt right with this, man. That would be crazy if we tracked identical and then tracked inverse. A mod god. Derek Rose, a mod god. Just the fact that you have that title, man, just because, again, you were there since like day one, bro. So I gave you that moderating thing because I like you, bro. You were like me posting my first videos. You would comment on that shit, and like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if I have that sort of trust on what you do and like the way you're pretty loyal to the channel and stuff, then I give you that right, bro. So if you ever feel like you gotta do something, go right ahead. All right, so we are falling a tiny bit. Again, tiny bit here. If we cross this, we might come back down here, guys, to this previous low here. And then at that point, I do personally think once we get here, we might get a sort of like bounce quickly and then sort of do this for a little bit, just because we're really close, guys, to closing time. It's really hard to bring the price action down here and then keep it going down, right? But again, we got to look at the SPY too, because it's all comes down to the SPY, guys, right now. Okay, well, right now we're not even really following the SPY. Weirdly enough, we like stopped following it. Why? Interesting. Yeah, that's what I see happening. Maybe down here and then bounce. So that would indicate, if we do that, guys, I'm gonna highlight this portion just red, and have the entire day be an inverse play out here, just because we are seeing that direction change. Sure, yeah, Stevie, I know you're probably listening with headphones, man. So sure, we are currently trading at 1445. Our levels would be 1420 would be the level that we would probably come down to and then bounce to have that larger double bottom scenario play out here from the 24th to the beginning of the week, to the end of the week, basically. And now the SPY is falling. Okay, we'll keep it here for a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I'll definitely start shouting out the prices for you guys since you're listening on your headset. Chris, yeah, it goes both ways, man, for sure. It could be a trick to, since it's the buy button removal, right, and stuff like that. It could be a trick either to make people think they're going to sell or to buy. It's just a giant cluster, like, loop sort of thing in your head, where it's like you just don't know what to do anymore because you don't know if they're going to trade against it or for it. Okay, SPY and AMC. The shills and trolls in Weevil? Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of those, man. A lot of bot accounts and stuff. You can tell right away when like it's one of those like bot accounts because you click on the account, it's got nothing. It's just a giant number with like its first post ever. It's just like, okay, well that's definitely a bot. Probably. That seems like the most likely scenario. Like again, guys, just looking at this on the like on a more macro level, it doesn't look like a falling knife to me. A falling knife would be something kind of like this. It's a very straight pressure to the downside. You have your you go up first before coming down, and this is coming down first. So it's very unlikely that we're gonna get something like this, just straight down. And the only way that would happen is, in my opinion, is if there's any sort of news in the next 15 minutes or now, or if the SPY just starts to rip down as well. Those are the only scenarios for me. This seems more like a double bottom. We get a small bounce before deciding what's gonna happen tomorrow. And at that point, if we get a bounce, right, and we do something like that, then again, this would be acceptable to either drop tomorrow or go up. This is where we don't know yet, so we're still trying to figure that out. But yeah, personally, I don't see this coming down to those levels. Oh look, see, there's a bounce right there. So we didn't even come all the way down to this level. We might just start bouncing right here. See what the SPY's doing. SPY's bouncing. Probably wants to be, SPY wants to be a little bit bullish on the short term here before coming back down and tricking people to buying options. Again, the whole gist of it is tricking people. It's a nice bounce. Even here on AMC, it's a really nice bounce. And it's alright, guys. 15 minutes left, so I don't see how they can really play with this. Seems like upward pressure, and then maybe coming up here for a little bit, just trading sideways for the rest of the day. SPY, AMC, there it is. And we are currently, again, guys, at 1460. We just bounced back to 1460 from 1440. For those of you that have headphones in. Today we missed SSR by 0.5. Yeah, honestly, SSR, like, to me, man, I don't like in the past when we've used SSR, it's like it's another way that they can basically short the price, and then there's these, like, obviously these rules that say that you can't bring the price down or whatever after SSR. And then what happens is something goes on behind the dark pools and stuff, because they will still bring the price action down the next day, so that retail thinks that retail is actually selling, and it's not dark pools, and it's not the system, right, that's controlling the price action, or whatever institutions. So for me, I look at it very, very, like, very weird. The SSR rule, it's just whole thing, man. 15 minutes left in the day. We are currently at 1462. A little bounce here. That makes sense here on the inverse. I mean, it's even possible too, guys, that we play out inverse first for the first hour of the day, right? We come up here, we play out inverse, and then we start tracking identical. That's also very possible. Doesn't look as pretty, but it would just be pretty if we played out this pattern, honestly. Let's just go. Let's go up. Come on. This guy. Yeah, right? See, Pit, yeah. That's very interesting. Very interesting that they, just by 0.5, they'll take it down to that level. It's almost too perfect, right? Like, leave that 0.5, don't take it down enough so that the next day, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with that logic, but something is in the works, I guess. They didn't take it down to SSR. It'll be more exciting, guys. Don't worry. Once we start coming up, this, you know, we're gonna have some fun. All right. Right now, it's not the best thing. With down days and especially honestly sideways days are in my opinion the worst. Even down days, like when they're very when they're clear because of the cycle. It's a way to at least validate it again and still understand what could happen in the future, but sideways days are just the worst. I hate them, dude. They're so bad. But when we start coming up, guys, it's all good. We're gonna have some fun. Play some elephants in the chat and shit. Some of these songs are like, they'll block the stream. Like older songs, for whatever reason, like will literally block the entire, like it'll kick me out of the stream if I play like older songs. Beatles or like ELO. I don't know why. It's weird. Got 10 minutes left in the day, guys. Let's see what happens. Spy is coming back up slowly. Feels like forever, but not for long. Not for long. Let's look at the setup again. Cycle for, whoa, why is this not in the cycle? Let's see something real quick. So again, guys, you can look at it as if we were in this giant regression trend, because these are more parallel to each other, right? Right, coming up, down, you stick up here for a little bit, and then you start to come back down before coming back up. It's an interesting way to look at stocks this way, because it does kind of show the cycles happening on a more clear level, right? If you bring back the cycles, you know, you have your top here where it goes up, and then this cycle wants to kind of stick on the downside before coming back up again, and then this cycle wants to play out inverse. You do this sort of like sideways cup, hitting this. This will play out inverse as well, before sort of like just morphing into something else. But now it's like here, if we were to follow this, I mean, this is saying, if it was quick, guys, if tomorrow happened, looking at it from this perspective, from this, and we did come down, you know, to that like 12, which would be down here real quick. I don't know, maybe like this level right here. I don't know, something like 1150 maybe. That would be ideal, just because we're not going into, again, single digits. And here, see how fast this sort of like, wait a minute. Okay, so that's interesting. This bounce right here that happens very close to where the cycle is like suggesting we get that sort of like bounce, right? Interesting. So if we had something similar like this happen, right? I don't know. That would be pretty ideal, because then we hit this sort of trend line down, and guys, these are pretty parallel to each other, I would say. So maybe just a tad bit more down. It was like even like just not crossing that line, guys. Maybe 11, and then bouncing really quickly, trading here for a little bit sideways before coming back up. But honestly, like, that would be pretty ideal. Oh wait. And then here we would track inverse again and start coming back up here. But then what does that look like? This sort of get this like, okay, so here what would happen is, again, we'll take these off for a second, or I'm gonna minimize them so I don't forget. So if this setup were to happen, I'm gonna take the cycle away. We would break out of what is this channel, right? This wedge. And not only would we break out, right, but we would come back down to it to create another. So this is so funny, but it's like a wedge, fake out, back up, and then sort of almost come back into this channel, and then bounce off to create a bullish flag, right? And this would be a bullish flag, because we would do this, right? And then this would set us up for something, because we're at these levels and we're up here now. So why not just start to go up here, right? At here we're slowly coming up, but we're still setting up, because this might be a little bit more drastic, guys. It might not be this low. By the way, these levels are a little bit lower. So let me just stretch this pattern out. This is a possibility. It'd be something a little bit more drastic, maybe like that. And then I'm gonna put this guy up here. Something like that. I don't know. And maybe just I would kind of cancel out this part maybe. I don't like this part, just because there would be too many springs to the downside. So in my opinion, it would be a little bit more like that, right? And then here, this is what they would consider the LPS SOS boom, right? On the on a YCOP's perspective, this would be like the spring down here, and then LPS, and then SOS, and then boom. So I don't know. That's something to consider. This would be another technical that we would play out on the macro perspective, which again is how we are looking at this entire setup, is just a giant guys setup on individual phases. Okay, this pattern would be more ideal on the actual flags. Where is that? All right, here we go. It'd be more ideal back here, so let's put it over here. I'm gonna do this pattern here because I like it the most. I'm gonna do it from here to here. And I'm gonna put it right around here. Or right around here. If tomorrow plays out identical, it would do something like this. We would break out. Or we could shift it around somewhere else. If it does follow that larger regression trend, it would come all the way down to 10, so right here. And again, if this were to happen on a larger scale, it would be a little bit stronger. We would come up to these levels and then bounce off of the resistance lines and then support lines until we establish a new level. And to me, that level, guys, that level would be around 37, in my opinion, before coming back up. So it would be something like that, I would say. I'm going to bring this guy over here. Final spring, something like that. I don't know. And again, that would be a different channel, right? New channel, we break out of this wedge and we create something else. And what is that? What is that setup? That setup is a flag. That would be the new setup from this. And you know, there might be a small shakeout, or maybe this plays out identical, and then this would go hand in hand with the projector pattern, which the projector pattern ultimately leads you up to that, right, that squeeze. And this would look very similar to GameStop scenario, where we slowly start climbing up and respecting these levels, right, of support along the way, SOS, and then projector pattern, boom. So again, this goes hand in hand with the it goes hand in hand with the scenario, that the most recent scenario that I posted, which was a fake out on the market crash going to 120. But again, this doesn't have to play out that way. We could just fucking squeeze on that date. But again, looking at the technicals, guys, is very important. Right now we are trading at 14.55. For those of you that want to know, we got a minute left in the market as well. And we are still tracking inverse. Okay, so yeah, sideways trading, a lot of volume, and we closed at 14.52 was the close today, guys. A lot of volume on those last candles. 337,000. Yo, Mikey, small update? Of course, man. So, just real quick, a brief breakdown of the entire day, guys. We ended up tracking the cycle inverse. There was a small fake out towards that 11 o'clock time where I thought we were tracking identical, but just overall, it seems to be an inverse track. So what I told the chat was to be careful with tomorrow, because they might be taking this yellow portion here that happened yesterday, which was up. It went up and then down very quickly. For those of you that are On headphones, guys, we went up and then they shorted us very quickly, so they might take that into their own advantage to then again shift the cycle and have none of this play out in the end. So we have to be careful with that. And yeah, guys, just again, stick with your conviction. Stick with your conviction, brother. Yes, this is the last portion of the cycle. Again, doesn't have to play out. Make sure you watch the video, guys. I do leave the videos up if you guys need to rewatch them, because there might be a scenario in which we come up very quickly and they'll make us think, right, that we are going to come up. But on Fridays, they use these previous runs as leverage to short it down in the future, okay? Especially on the short term when there's yellow noise here. It's a way to do it, and I've seen it happen multiple times in the past. So be careful with that, alrighty? In the end, it's looking at it from the macro perspective on what technical setup we're in. And right now we're still in this wedge. We haven't broken down or up. So until that happens, I'm going to be looking at it the exact same way and not changing anything for sure, guys. But anyways, again, I'm going to leave this video up for those of you that just came in, but we are going to end the stream right now, and I will be, again, here tomorrow. So thank you all for watching, and you guys have a great rest of your day, all right? Keep your heads up. Love you guys.